Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum. Yay! Hey, kia ora. Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Surprise in Arizona. Hope you're having a super fantastic, sparkling day. Welcome to Before the Dirt Nap podcast number 1512. Oh my gosh, we're getting up there in numbers. Can't believe we're over 1500 already. Crazy good day. So how was your day today? Did you have a super fantastic, sparkling day? I know I did. Yesterday, oh my gosh, doing the one of the powerful things about mind mapping that I don't think we touched on it yesterday, but yesterday I was doing the mind mapping and we did yesterday's podcast on mind mapping. One of the huge benefits of mind mapping is that it helps clear out your brain. It helps declutter it. And I had a really good night's sleep last night. I bounced out of bed this morning. I was ready to go and I haven't stopped. It's been a crazy, crazy good day. And because I've cleared out some of the clutter, think of a mind map this way. You know, if you've read any of the Harry Potter books, there's the one in there where Dumbledore gets his wand and he puts it up to his forehead. It puts up to his head and he pulls thoughts out or memories out and puts it in the pensive bowl. That's what mind mapping does for you. It helps clear the clutter in the brain. And there's stuff that, there's questions you've been asking yourself for a while and wondering what to do about them and things like that. And then then you sit down and you do a mind map on that question. And all of a sudden it's like, it just starts clearing the brain. So last night I went to go to bed and I was out in the, I walked out to turn the outside light off. That's what I had done. And I was walking back and I saw the mind map on the table and I was working on another mind map. And so I turned the light on and had a look at the question and went, oh, and I'm looking at what I've already written and go, oh, pick up a pen. And I started writing and I did like about 3 or 4 different ideas, stream ideas onto that. So your stream ideas is like you got your center thing, you pull it off from the center thing and off you go down this way. And then I did another one off down this way and then I did another one. So I did like 3 or 4 of them last night just before I went to bed and had them done it in like 10 minutes. I mean, mind mapping, can make things go very, very quickly. Oh, excuse me. Okay, I think we're good now. But it just helped clear everything out. And so by the time I got to bed, my brain wasn't racing as much as it normally is when I go to bed at night, because I have to go through a very set routine when I go to bed each night in order for my brain to say, oh, it's time for sleep. We have to shut off all those thoughts and everything else. Let's work on them in the subconscious. Let's pull everything out of the conscious and let's go into the subconscious and work there while we get some rest. This is just what I think. My show, my opinions. And but I have this routine that I have to do every night. And for some reason I had to, and I got into bed and then I remembered that I hadn't fed Zeffie that night. I hadn't given Zeffie her dinner. I was like, oh my gosh. So I jump out of bed, run down to the kitchen and to give her dinner, to find that she'd still had some from breakfast left over. And I was sort of like, oh, thank goodness. So I just threw half a cup of food in there and went back to bed. But I had to almost have to go through my routine again, because I've been through, the brushing of the teeth and the brushing of the hair and getting ready for bed and all of that. But when I got into bed, I have this thing where I have to read. I have to read, even if it's a paragraph, I have to read or the brain won't shut down. And I start tossing and turning. And so I got back in the bed, well, I've already read and I've got to turn over and I'm like, oh, no, we're going to have to read again. So we read again. But then this morning I woke up refreshed, ready to go, raring to go. It was 68 degrees outside when we went for a walk. Yay! Oh my gosh, we had a beautiful walk this morning. There's this guy that who lives in the neighborhood and he wanders around the park area that we have here. And he's got his little grabber thingy. When you're wanting to reach for higher things, you have those long poles with the gripper on the end. And somebody gave him that to help him, because he walks around the park and picks up the trash. He doesn't get paid for it. He just volunteers for it. And I said to him the other day, I said, to thank you. He goes, what's that? I said, for what you do for this community and this park, where you're wandering around and, you're picking up the trash, making sure everything looks good. You're talking to, you're checking up on people and things like that. So I just have to say thank you for taking on that role. So we got to meet up with John today and walk back with him for a bit. And there was this one area of grass. This is my theory on dogs with grass. I I actually came up with this theory when we're living in the resort. So when we go out for a walk, Zephy gets to choose whether she wants to go left or right to start with. And so she wanders off, and normally in the evening she gets the loose leash where she can choose which direction she wants to go. In the mornings we were a little more rigid because we had only so much time in the morning to walk. The evenings we had a little more time. But there are times that we would walk out on one circuit and somehow we'll get turned around and we'll come back the same circuit. And this happens in the park a lot because we go out one way and we have to come back again. And so I've come to the conclusion, because Zephy was sort of like, she'll put her nose down and off she goes. And she just goes. And there'll be areas that she'll stop and she'll smell and, smell a little around it and do her business and all that. And then she goes on to the next spot and all that sort of stuff. Well, when she's coming back, she stops at different spots on the way back. And I'm like, is this kind of like taking me back to the 80s when we used to try and play, and when we used to play records backwards? She's got the smell going this way, but it smells completely different when you come back this way. So it was just one of those mornings. And there was this one patch that she was just like, she was serious about this one patch on the way along that path. She completely ignored this patch of grass, but on the way back, she was sort of like, what the heck is going on here? And she's got her nose stuck into this one patch. It was about this big patch of grass. And she's just sniffing around in circles and all around it. And then John turns and says, oh, she might be smelling the snake pheromones. And I'm like, I don't need to know about snakes. No. We live in a great neighborhood and stuff, and I've got a really good backyard and that. And I know that there's a possibility of snakes and scorpions and some spiders and that sort of thing. But I've been very blessed that I have not yet met any in and around my RV and in and around my home. So I've been very blessed and feel very protected about that. And so it's probably like the snake pheromones. I don't need to know about snake pheromones. But that was his little tidbit that he shared with us. It was his interesting information. But we got home and had breakfast, and then I just got stuck I had a list to do today, and I just got stuck in that list. I rolled my my mapping roll of paper up and pulled it down, so I now have a clean table for the next question. So it's now sitting there waiting for the next question that I'm going to ask the mind map and see where that goes. So, but we got a lot of stuff done today, a lot of stuff. It was a crazy day. And then when I got on the help chat, I got a couple of very deep and involved chats going there that required a lot of time, a lot of work, and they happened to come in both at the same time. And I was the only one there to work on them. And it was sort of like, this is crazy. But you see some crazy stuff come through and some interesting stuff. And I will say, I worked on a help desk years ago, and this was the help desk where they would call in on the phone. I had my little headset on with my little microphone, and I had the computer open where I could type the stuff in, and then I would type in the problem. I had a list of questions. If they call in about the problem, ask these questions here. So I had the questions there, and I would ask the questions and type in the responses and stuff. And then I would assign, and based on who called in, because I worked for a computer company, we had hardware and software support. So the hardware went to the engineer who was responsible for that site, or if that engineer was out, it went to his backup. And then there was the software guys who actually worked just outside my office door. Which was very handy when Helen deleted her C drive on her PC, because she got her commands back to front. Like I said, I've always said I know enough to be dangerous, and that day it proved I did know enough to be dangerous. I had the right command, I just had it flipped back to front, and it ended up deleting my C drive instead of the directory I wanted it to delete. So yes, I know enough to be dangerous. But today kind of reminded me of some of the things that I've heard over the years when I've been working in that customer support role on the help desk. The things that people would call up about their computers, and having to ask the basic questions like, well, is it turned on? And then I've been reminded about this a lot lately, because some of the TikToks I've been seeing is like Gen X's educating like Gen Ys on how to, putting them in front of an old computer, where you had to actually push the power button for the base to turn the computer on, and then you had to push the button to turn the screen on, and watching them the computer boot up and all that sort of stuff. It was very interesting watching that. And the one I saw the one I saw yesterday was there was a girl that was sitting in front of a stereo that had the double deck player on it. It had a CD player on it, and it had the turntable at the top for the records. And just listening to her trying to figure out, working her way through how to figure out what it was that she was doing and what she had to do. And she had somebody there who was guiding her as well, like asking her questions to try and see if she could logically work it out. It was just very, very interesting. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I saw this TikTok video. They said that he said, this one I saw a while ago, which cracked me up. This guy said his kids wanted him to create them an escape room, because escape rooms are very popular right now. I've heard about them. I have never been in one yet, and I'm thinking that kind of sounds fun. You know, puzzles and stuff. Mysteries you have to solve and clues you have to look for. I love doing that stuff. And so this guy said he made up an escape room for his kids. He put them in a room with a rotary dial phone, a TV with no remote, a black and white TV with no remote, and all instructions written in cursive. Oh, there was something else he had in there as well. There was a rotary dial phone. There's a rotary dial phone. Oh, a record player, and the black and white TV with no remote, and all instructions written in cursive. And I just cracked up laughing. That just cracked me up so much. And I'm like sitting here and I'm looking at my notes going, I still write in cursive. Yes. And those of you who are not from Gen X and just heard all of that and have no idea what I'm talking about, that's okay. Just ask the Gen X, so they'll explain it to you. Or they may not. But watching videos where they get kids to make a call on a rotary dial phone it just cracks. And then it sort of things, and I think back to times when, there were times that when we were growing up, would go to our grandparents' place, and there would be some contraption there that they would use on a daily basis. And we're like, well, what the heck is that? So yeah, I kind of get that. It's a little different these days. Every generation goes through this thing of seeing something the previous generation is using, going, what on earth is that? Yeah. So it's crazy. It's just a crazy world. But all of the stuff is starting to come in fresh and vibrant. And I'm sort of like, I need to get back on the mind mapping thing again, because it just frees up. It's freeing up space in my brain. It's decluttering the brain is what it does. Mind mapping will help declutter the brain, so you've got more space to come in and be more creative. Now, there are a couple of things that did upset me today. Like, there's one site I went to, and I cannot get hold of their support people because it's got their contact us thing, and I'm unable to log in. It keeps asking me for a security code. I don't have a security code for this site. I've never had a security code for this site. Now it's asking me for a security code. I've got no idea what they're talking about. I went back through all the emails I've got from this company and cannot find any reference to a security code in any of the emails that I've received from them in the last year and a bit. And now I can't log into my account. And it tells me I have to use an authenticator. And I'm like, okay, well, I have the authenticator on my phone, but it doesn't have that site on it. And in order to get that site on there, I need a QR code or a key thing to type in there to connect the two. And the only way I can get that is to log into my account. So then I'm like, okay, well, I need to contact support in order to figure out how the hell do I get into my account. And I go to their website and I'm like looking, and it's got the contact us. And I'm like, yes, contact us, support, yes, all of that. And there's no emails, there's no phone numbers, there's not even a chat window there. And I'm like, well, how? So I go, well, contact us. And it takes me to the login page. I'm like, I can't log into my account. There's no numbers to call, there's no emails to send. So then I'm sitting there on the computer. I'm like thinking, okay, it's either got to be help or support or info. And so I start thinking of all these things and putting at the company's name, the company's website name, and I send it off. And one of them came back and said, well, you can't use this one because we don't monitor this. We don't monitor this email. You need to go to this website, which is the Contact Us website that you have to log in to get access to. I can't get into my account. I need to get into my account. The changes I need to make to my account, and I can't get into it. I even Googled for phone numbers online and everything else. Came up with a phone number. I thought, yes. And then so I wasn't sure about the phone number. So I Googled the phone number to find out that as soon as July of this year, that phone number is no longer in service. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how they? So I got this one website that I desperately need to get onto, and I have no way to contact them. So I'm just going to find, so tomorrow morning, I'm going to find their head office. I know where their head office is located. I'm going to see if I can find a phone number for their head office. I'm going to call them and say, look, this is the situation. How do I get help? And every time it says, and every time I go to the website and I want to get help on the website, it will give me like instructions for this, that, and the other thing. But when it comes to security code, it tells you how to reset your password. And I'm like, I don't need to reset my password. I know what my password is. It gets me to this point where it asks for a security code, but I don't know what the security code is. So it's kind of like a little frustrating and a little concerning. And I'm just sort of like, so I'm just going to see if I can find I found their head office address in New York. So I'm going to see if I can find a phone number for the head office and call them and go, this is my problem. How do I get help? And please don't tell me to go to that page there because it asks me to log into my account, which I can get so far, but then asks me for a security code, which I have no clue what it is. I don't have an email on it. I don't have it anywhere else. It's not on it's not in my authenticator code thingy. And so it's just a little project that I need to work on tomorrow because I need to get this sorted out so I can get into that account. And the thing was that I was in my account like 2 weeks ago, and today I was like, oh yeah, I got to go in and I have to do this. And they're still sending me emails. So I'm sort of like, okay, you're still sending me emails as and all of that, but you won't. So I can't even reply to the emails because they said no, the no reply at. I'm like, this is crazy. So, yeah, but that one that turned around and says, yeah, and it's my subject is unable to log into my account. Help. So anyway, it's been my crazy day. So I've gotten from everything. Oh, and then I had a client call me about some work that they want me to do, and I'm sort of like, okay. And so we've got all the stuff getting ready for that. So yeah, we just had a crazy day. It was a crazy good day. Even though I had that little frustration, it's sort of like, we're just gonna let it rest. Tomorrow's a new day. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna get it resolved and take it from there and do that and see how that goes. And so that's what I'm gonna do. Just take a deep breath, forget about it tonight, not even gonna worry about it, not even gonna look at it. Yes, I'm talking about it right now. So some people say, just get off it. So it's off. It's gone. But there's been a couple of things like that today, and some entertaining chats have come in as well with some things that you just sit there and go, what are people thinking? There are some times that if you've ever worked on a help chat, you will get this. There are times that you sit there at the chat and you read it like 2 or 3 times and go, huh? And then you read it again and go, huh? And then you look at it again and go, are they really stating that? Did they really just type that to me as a response to my question? Do they really believe that? And so, what are some people thinking? It just is, but then I'm like thinking, they're probably in their groove of the day. They're trying to get across their message as best they can. It's just not being received very well at the other end. It's sort of like, huh? So, but it's been a crazy good day. No matter what happens today is always super fantastic and sparkling. I totally believe that. I came up with that saying almost 6 years ago. 23rd of September, it'll be 6 years since I came up with that saying. No matter what happens, today is always super fantastic and sparkling. Because the 24th will be the 6-year anniversary of Brad's passing. And that saying was written on, I'm actually going to bring that out on Saturday. Yeah, so tune in on Saturday because I'll actually show you the whiteboard with it written on it, because I still have the whiteboard with that message written on there that I put there on the 23rd of September 6 years ago in 2017. I actually found it the other day. I totally forgotten that I had never, I remember packing it up because I could not bring myself to erase that message off that whiteboard. So I'm going to bring that out here on Saturday to show you guys. So in 2 days, it'll be out here and you'll see the actual message that I wrote on the whiteboard. Even where my daughter-in-law went and put a T in on fantastic because I'd missed a T out of fantastic. I think it was fantastic. I missed the T. There was one of the words I missed a letter on, and so she just corrected it for me. But yeah, so you'll actually get to see the actual whiteboard that I was that if you've been watching me for a while, you've heard me talk about this whiteboard and writing that message on the whiteboard, and my husband passing away less than 24 hours later. So it was on Saturday afternoon. So it was probably just over 12 hours after I wrote that message that he passed, because I can't remember if it was mid-afternoon or because he went at 4 o'clock in the morning. So I'm not sure. I think it was mid-afternoon, like around 2 or 3, I wrote that on there. So, but yeah, it was less than 24 hours after I'd written that message on the board that he passed away. So I could actually show you the actual whiteboard that it was written on, because it is still on that whiteboard to this day. I have a whiteboard that goes on it has a easel that it goes on. And so I had that in the bag, and I happened to slip this particular whiteboard into that bag with it, because it's one of those boards that's got half a whiteboard and half a cork board. And I had it, and I mounted it on the wall next to where Brad's bed was. So I could put appointments up there for him, so he could see what was coming up. And the idea was to put up there when the hospice nurse was coming in, or any other things that he needed to know, just as reminders and things. And we never actually used it for that. It sat there with Welcome Home Brad on it. He came home Monday, and that was still there on Saturday. And I looked at the board Saturday afternoon and went, we need to change that message. And that's when I changed it to, no matter what happens, today is always super fantastic and sparkling. And he was gone less than 24 hours later. So we never actually got to use the board how we intended to use it. But I still have that board, and it actually happens to be the same size as my whiteboard that goes on the easel. So I just slipped it into that bag with it, and that's where it sat for the last 4 years since I packed it up. So we'll actually show you that on Saturday. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how to observe Brad's passing on Sunday, what I'm going to do on that day. I don't know yet. But anyway, that's it from us for today. Did you have a crazy good day today too, where everything was going smoothly? You had a couple of hiccups along the way during the day, some things that made you go, what? Crazy good days are awesome days. You have things that make you go, what? What the heck was that person thinking? Or what was I thinking? Things that will frustrate you a little bit, get you upset a little bit and get frustrated, but you move past it. And where things were just like clicking along and just getting things done. It's just amazing what happens on crazy good days. So go out, have a crazy good evening, and we will catch you guys back here tomorrow evening. Make it super fantastic and sparkling, and we'll catch you guys here tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific. Hey, konara.